What if I told you that some of the dogs walking among us today carry genetic codes so ancient and unique that scientists are still struggling to understand them? These aren't just pets. They're living fossils, genetic anomalies, and evolutionary masterpieces that have somehow survived thousands of years while maintaining DNA that sets them apart from every other creature on the planet. Some of these breeds have genomes closer to wolves than to modern dogs. Others possess genetic mutations so rare that they exist nowhere else in the animal kingdom. And a few carry DNA sequences that researchers describe as impossible. Yet here they are, wagging their tails and defying everything we thought we knew about canine evolution. Before we dive into this extraordinary journey through the most genetically unique dogs on Earth, smash that like button if you're ready to have your mind blown. Hit subscribe because we're about to reveal dogs you never knew existed, and turn on notifications so you never miss our incredible animal content. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see dogs in a completely different light. Let's get started. Number 30. Basenji. We begin our countdown with a dog that literally cannot bark. The Basenji from Central Africa carries ancient DNA that dates back thousands of years, making it one of the oldest breeds known to humanity. But here's what makes their genetics truly bizarre. They have a uniquely shaped larynx that prevents traditional barking, producing instead a sound called a yodel or baru. This isn't learned behavior, it's hard-coded into their DNA. Scientists believe this genetic trait developed in isolation as these dogs evolved alongside ancient African tribes. Their DNA shows minimal mixing with other breeds, keeping their genome remarkably pure and prehistoric. Number 29. Norwegian Lundehund. This Norwegian breed possesses a genetic mutation so extreme that it seems like science fiction. The Lundehund has 6 fully functional toes on each foot instead of the normal 4, and their skeletal structure allows them to bend their head backwards along their own spine. Their DNA contains rare genetic markers that control joint flexibility and bone development in ways never seen in other dogs. These mutations gave them supernatural climbing abilities to hunt puffins on cliff faces. With fewer than 6,000 individuals worldwide, their unique genome is extremely rare and carefully protected by breeders who understand they're preserving something scientifically irreplaceable. Number 28. Xoloitzcuintli. The Mexican hairless dog, known as Xolo, carries a genetic mutation affecting the FOXY3 gene that results in complete hairlessness in most individuals. This isn't just unusual, it's a genetic trait so rare that it appears in virtually no other mammal species naturally. Archaeological evidence shows these dogs existed over 3,000 years ago, and their DNA has remained remarkably stable. The Aztecs believed these dogs had supernatural powers, and modern genetic analysis reveals they were right to think these animals were special. Their genome represents an unbroken genetic line, stretching back to pre-Columbian times, making them living links to ancient civilizations. Number 27. Tibetan Mastiff. High in the Himalayas, the Tibetan Mastiff developed DNA adaptations for surviving at extreme altitudes that mirror genetic changes found in human Tibetan populations. Scientists have identified specific genes in their DNA that enhance oxygen efficiency in thin mountain air, mutations that took thousands of years of isolated evolution to develop. These massive dogs can weigh over 160 pounds and possess genetic markers showing they split from other dog lineages over 5,000 years ago. Their genome contains sequences that researchers use to understand how large mammals adapt to low-oxygen environments, making them valuable not just as pets, but as scientific subjects. Number 26. Catalburun. From Turkey comes a dog with a genetic mutation so visible that you can spot it instantly. The Catalburun has a split nose, literally divided down the middle, caused by a rare recessive gene found nowhere else in the canine world. This isn't a deformity, it's a stabilized genetic trait that's been deliberately preserved for generations. Only a few hundred of these dogs exist, making their unique DNA incredibly rare. The split nose actually enhances their scenting abilities, giving them a wider range of olfactory detection. Geneticists study these dogs to understand how radical physical mutations can not only survive but provide evolutionary advantages. Number 25. Azawakh. This West African sighthound carries DNA that genetic testing reveals is among the most ancient and pure of all dog breeds. The Azawakh evolved with nomadic tribes in the Sahara, developing a genome optimized for extreme heat tolerance and incredible speed. Their DNA shows virtually no mixing with European or Asian dog breeds, representing a completely independent evolutionary path. Scientists have found genetic markers in Azawakhs that control heat dissipation and lean muscle development in ways unique to this breed. They can reach speeds of 40 miles per hour, and their genetic code explains exactly how their bodies achieve such extraordinary athleticism in desert conditions. Number 24. Thai Ridgeback. The distinctive ridge of hair growing backwards along their spine isn't just unusual. It's caused by a specific genetic mutation that creates a localized reversal of hair growth direction. This ridge is controlled by a genetic sequence that researchers have mapped and found to be incredibly rare. The Thai Ridgeback remained isolated in Thailand for centuries, keeping their genome exceptionally pure. DNA analysis shows they share genetic markers with ancient pariah dogs but have unique sequences not found in any other Ridgeback breeds. Only about 3,000 exist outside Thailand, making their genetic code a precious scientific resource for understanding canine hair growth and development. Number 23. Caucasian Shepherd Dog. This massive guardian breed from the Caucasus Mountains carries ancient DNA with genetic markers showing they descend from some of the earliest livestock guardian dogs. Weighing up to 200 pounds, their size is controlled by growth hormone genes that scientists find fascinating. Their DNA reveals adaptations for surviving harsh mountain winters and confronting predators like wolves and bears. Genetic studies show they have lower genetic diversity than many breeds. But what diversity they have includes unique sequences related to strength, size, and protective instincts. Their genome represents thousands of years of selective breeding for one purpose: protection, and that singular focus has created a unique genetic profile. Number 22. Peruvian Inca Orchid. Another hairless breed, but with completely different genetics than the Xolo. The Peruvian Inca orchid's hairlessness comes from a different genetic mutation, proving that this trait evolved independently multiple times. Their DNA dates back to pre-Incan civilizations, over 3,000 years ago. What makes their genetics especially interesting is that the same gene causing hairlessness also affects tooth development, creating a genetic link between skin and dental structures that scientists are still studying. They come in hairless and coated varieties, and the genetics determining which puppies get which trait follows complex inheritance patterns that make each litter a genetic lottery. Number 21. Chinook. This is one of the rarest breeds in the world, and their DNA tells a story of near extinction and remarkable recovery. Developed in New Hampshire in the early 20th century, the Chinook's population once dropped to just 11 individuals, creating a genetic bottleneck so severe that every Chinook alive today shares DNA from that tiny group. This extreme inbreeding should have destroyed the breed, but careful genetic management has preserved them. Scientists study Chinooks to understand how species recover from catastrophic population crashes. Their genome shows the scars of that bottleneck, but also the resilience that saved them from extinction. Number 20. Catahoula leopard dog. Louisiana's state dog carries genetic markers that create their striking glass eyes and merle coat patterns. But what makes their DNA truly special is that genetic analysis suggests they have ancestry from Native American dogs, Spanish war dogs, and possibly red wolves. This mixing of wildly different genetic sources created combinations of genes found nowhere else. The Catahoula's eye color genetics are so complex that puppies from the same litter can have completely different eye colors, from ice blue to amber to green. Researchers studying their DNA are uncovering how ancient American dog populations mixed with European breeds to create entirely new genetic combinations. Number 19. Korean Jindo. This Korean breed is so genetically pure that the Korean government has declared them a national treasure and restricts their export. DNA analysis reveals the Jindo has maintained genetic isolation for thousands of years on Jindo Island. Their genome shows almost no mixing with other breeds, making them a genetic time capsule. What's remarkable is that this purity has been maintained naturally, not through modern breeding programs. Scientists have identified genetic markers in Jindos related to their legendary homing ability, with some dogs traveling hundreds of miles to return home. Their DNA may contain clues to understanding spatial memory and navigation in mammals. Number 18. Mudi. This Hungarian herding dog carries genetic sequences related to their extraordinary intelligence and problem-solving abilities. The Mudi's DNA shows they developed in relative isolation in Hungary, creating a unique genetic profile. What makes them scientifically interesting is that genetic studies link specific gene variants to their cognitive abilities, making them subjects in research about the biological basis of intelligence. They can learn complex commands faster than most breeds, and their DNA may explain why. With fewer than 2,000 Mudis worldwide, their unique cognitive genetics are at risk, making preservation efforts critical for understanding how intelligence evolved in working dogs. Number 17. Czechoslovakian wolfdog. This is where genetics gets really wild. The Czechoslovakian wolfdog is a modern breed created by deliberately crossing German shepherds with Carpathian wolves in the 1950s. Their DNA is literally a hybrid of dog and wolf genetics, making them one of the few breeds with recent, documented wolf ancestry. Scientists study their genome to understand exactly which genes make dogs different from wolves and which remain the same. They carry wolf genes affecting behavior, communication, and pack dynamics that have been bred out of dogs for thousands of years. Their existence proves that the genetic barrier between dogs and wolves is thinner than most people realize. Number 16. Cirneco dell'etna. From the slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily comes a breed with DNA showing they descended from ancient Egyptian dogs brought to the island over 2,000 years ago. The cirneco's genome has remained remarkably unchanged, preserving genetic sequences from antiquity. Scientists have found in their DNA evidence of the earliest dog migration routes from Africa into Europe. These elegant sighthounds carry genetic adaptations for hunting in volcanic terrain, including heat tolerance and incredible agility. Their population is small, making their ancient genetic heritage vulnerable. Researchers consider them a vital link to understanding how dogs spread throughout the Mediterranean in ancient times. Number 15. Kai-Ken. This Japanese breed is sometimes called the most ancient Japanese dog, and their DNA backs up that claim. Genetic testing reveals the Kai-Ken split from other dog populations extremely early, maintaining a genome that shows minimal outside influence. They were bred in the mountains of Yamanashi, and their isolation created genetic adaptations for mountainous terrain. What makes their DNA especially interesting is a genetic trait for brindle coloring that darkens as they age, controlled by time-sensitive genetic expression, rarely seen in mammals. Scientists studying their DNA are learning how genes can be programmed to activate at different life stages. Number 14. Canaan dog. The Canaan dog carries DNA that might be the closest living link to the dogs that lived in biblical times. Genetic analysis suggests they're descendants of ancient pariah dogs that have survived in the Middle East for thousands of years with minimal human intervention. Their genome shows adaptations for surviving in harsh desert conditions without human support, including efficient water metabolism and heat tolerance. What's remarkable is that their DNA shows they have maintained these ancient characteristics despite occasional mixing with modern breeds. They represent what dogs were like before intensive selective breeding began, making their genetic code a baseline for understanding canine evolution. Number 13. American Alsatian. This breed was specifically created to look like the extinct dire wolf, but their genetics tell an interesting story. Breeders used DNA from multiple large breeds to create dogs with specific size and temperament genes, while avoiding the health problems that plague many giant breeds. The American Alsatian represents modern genetic engineering through selective breeding, using knowledge of canine genetics to build a breed from scratch. Scientists find their development fascinating because it shows how quickly specific genetic traits can be combined and stabilized. Their DNA is essentially a custom mix designed with specific genetic goals in mind. Number 12. Pharaoh Hound. Despite the name suggesting ancient Egyptian origins, DNA analysis revealed a shocking truth. The Pharaoh Hound's genetics show they're actually a relatively modern breed from Malta, not descended from Egyptian dogs at all. However, what makes their DNA unique is a rare trait where they blush when excited, their nose and ears turning bright pink due to unusual blood vessel genetics in their facial skin. This visible emotional response controlled by genetics is almost unheard of in mammals. Scientists study this trait to understand how genes control blood flow and emotional responses. Their genome also shows they developed an extreme isolation on Malta, creating a distinctive genetic profile. Number 11. Sloughi. The North African Sloughi carries ancient DNA, showing they've been running through the Sahara for thousands of years. Genetic testing reveals they have adaptations for desert survival that make their genome unique among sighthounds. Their DNA contains specific variants of genes controlling muscle composition that make them exceptionally fast and tireless runners. What's especially interesting is that genetic studies show the Sloughi developed completely independently from other similar-looking breeds like the Saluki, proving that similar environments can drive similar genetic adaptations even in isolated populations. Their genome is a masterclass in convergent evolution. Number 10. New Guinea Singing Dog. Now we're entering the top 10, and the genetics get even more extreme. The New Guinea Singing Dog produces a vocalization unlike any other canine, a haunting musical howl caused by unique vocal cord genetics. For decades, they were thought extinct in the wild until genetic testing of wild dogs in New Guinea revealed populations still surviving. Their DNA shows they split from other dog lineages over 8,000 years ago, making them one of the oldest and most primitive breeds. Scientists discovered their genome contains sequences found nowhere else in the canine family tree. They're not quite wolf, not quite dog, but something in between, occupying a unique evolutionary position. Number 9. Damascan Dog. The Damascan was bred to look like wolves while maintaining dog temperament, and their genetics reflect this careful balance. Breeders used DNA from several northern breeds to create specific combinations of size, coat, and behavior genes. What makes their genetics notable is that genetic testing must be performed on all breeding dogs to screen for inherited diseases, making them one of the most genetically monitored breeds in existence. This genetic oversight has created a population with extremely detailed genetic records, making them valuable for research into preventing hereditary health problems. Their DNA represents what's possible when breeding programs prioritize genetic health. Number 8. Carolina Dog. The Carolina dog might be the most genetically important breed in North America. DNA analysis suggests they're descendants of dogs that came across the Bering Land Bridge with humans over 10,000 years ago, making them an ancient American breed. Their genome contains genetic markers found in no other domestic dogs, suggesting they evolved separately from all other breeds. Scientists studying their DNA are rewriting the history of how dogs populated the Americas. Some researchers believe Carolina dogs represent the closest living relatives of the original American dogs, most of which went extinct after European colonization. Their genetic code is literally a window into prehistoric America. Number 7. Dingo. The Australian dingo occupies a controversial space between dog and wild animal, and their DNA reflects this ambiguity. Genetic studies show dingoes arrived in Australia over 4,000 years ago, and then evolved in complete isolation. Their genome has adapted to the Australian environment in unique ways, developing genetic traits for surviving extreme heat and hunting native prey. What makes their DNA especially interesting is that pure dingoes are becoming increasingly rare due to interbreeding with domestic dogs. Scientists can use genetic testing to identify pure dingoes, and what they're finding is that true dingo DNA contains sequences that make them genetically distinct from all other canines. They're not quite wolves, not quite dogs, but something uniquely Australian. Number 6. Sloughi. Sloughi DNA has been called the purest of all dog breeds, with genetic lineages traced back over 5,000 years. Ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian artwork depicts dogs identical to modern Sloughi's, and genetic testing confirms this remarkable stability. Their genome shows minimal change over millennia, preserving ancient genetic sequences that have been lost in other breeds. Scientists find in their DNA evidence of the earliest selective breeding by humans, making them vital for understanding how domestication began. Sloughi's carry genetic adaptations for desert hunting that make them capable of incredible speed and endurance. Their DNA represents what dogs were like when civilization was just beginning. Number 5. Tibetan Spaniel. Don't let the small size fool you. The Tibetan Spaniel carries DNA that genetic analysis links directly to the ancient dogs of Tibet, making them thousands of years old. What makes their genetics remarkable is that they're one of the foundation breeds from which many others descended. Their genome contains genetic sequences that researchers find in numerous other Asian breeds, suggesting Tibetan Spaniels were ancestors to many modern dogs. Scientists studying their DNA are mapping the family tree of Asian dog breeds and finding that these small dogs sit at crucial branch points. Their genetic code is a Rosetta Stone for understanding how ancient Asian dogs spread and diversified. Number 4. Akita. The Akita from Japan carries DNA showing they're among the most ancient of all Japanese breeds, with genetics dating back thousands of years. But what makes their genome truly special is genetic evidence suggesting limited wolf ancestry more recent than most breeds, giving them wolf genes that have largely disappeared from other dogs. Their DNA shows adaptations for the harsh winters of northern Japan, including unique coat genetics and cold tolerance genes. Genetic studies of Akitas have revealed information about how dogs adapted to extreme cold environments. With only a few thousand purebred Akitas remaining, their unique genetic heritage linking ancient dogs to wolves is precious and irreplaceable. Number 3. Afghan Hound. The Afghan Hound's flowing coat and aristocratic appearance mask genetics that scientists find absolutely fascinating. DNA analysis reveals they're one of the most ancient breeds, with a genome showing minimal relationship to most modern dogs. Their genetic code suggests they evolved separately in the mountains of Afghanistan for thousands of years, developing unique adaptations. What makes their DNA especially remarkable is genetic sequences controlling their coat that researchers find nowhere else. The texture, growth pattern, and structure of Afghan hound hair is genetically distinct from all other breeds. Scientists studying hair growth and texture in mammals use Afghan hounds as research subjects because their genetics produce something genuinely unique. Number 2. Siberian Husky. In second place, we have a breed whose DNA contains some of the most remarkable adaptations in the canine world. Siberian Huskies evolved in the Arctic, and their genome shows extensive genetic modifications for surviving extreme cold. Scientists have identified specific genes in husky DNA that control metabolism, allowing them to run for hours without depleting energy reserves in ways that defy normal mammalian physiology. Their genetics include adaptations in blood circulation, fat metabolism, and temperature regulation that researchers use as models for studying cold adaptation. But here's what puts them at number 2. Recent genetic studies found that huskies carry more wolf DNA than almost any other breed, except one. Their genome is a bridge between domestic dogs and their wild ancestors. Number 1. Shiba Inu. And at number 1, one of the most genetically distinct dogs on Earth, the Shiba Inu. Multiple genetic studies using various DNA analysis methods suggest that Shiba Inus possess an ancient and relatively primitive genome compared to most modern dog breeds. Genetic analysis indicates that their lineage split from other domestic dogs very early in history, retaining sequences that are rare or largely absent in many contemporary breeds. Scientists describe their genome as a valuable reference for understanding early dog domestication. Evidence shows that Shiba Inus have existed in Japan for thousands of years with relatively minimal genetic change. They are sometimes called living fossils or genetic time capsules, offering a unique glimpse into the early relationship between humans and dogs. While not every Shiba Inu carries DNA entirely unique to the species, their genome provides one of the clearest windows we have into ancient canine genetics. From hairless genetic mutations to ancient DNA unchanged for thousands of years, from wolf hybrids to dogs whose genomes are helping scientists understand evolution itself. These 30 breeds prove that dogs are far more genetically diverse and fascinating than most people ever imagine. Each of these breeds carries within their DNA stories of survival, adaptation, and evolution that took thousands of years to write. Some have genes that let them survive in deserts or mountains or Arctic conditions. Others have genetic mutations so rare that they exist nowhere else in nature. And a few, like our number 1 Shiba Inu, carry genetic codes so ancient that scientists use them as windows into the past. If this video changed how you think about dogs and their incredible genetic diversity, give it a like right now. Subscribe to our channel for more amazing content about the natural world that will blow your mind. And hit that notification bell so you never miss our next video, because we're always uncovering incredible facts about animals that will leave you speechless. Which of these genetically unique dogs surprised you the most? Drop a comment below and let us know. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next time you see a dog, you might just be looking at a genetic miracle thousands of years in the making.